No matter what anyone says, YouTube isn't easy. After my first year of working on YouTube, not really posting, just learning to film and edit, just getting a feel for the basics, I started to realize that this YouTube thing was far more challenging than I had expected. It's not just about hitting record and uploading, it's a full-time job that demands commitment, creativity, and consistency. Honestly, not easy tasks for us average people. After realizing that this wasn't going to be a walk in the park, I knew that if I really wanted to try this, if I was truly going to give myself a fair chance and was serious about trying to make this work, I had to make some changes. That's when I decided there were 5 things I needed to quit in order to make real progress. Number 1, I quit trying to find a partner. I'm 39, almost 40, and I'm aware that I'm not getting any younger. During that first year on YouTube, I was still using the dating apps hoping to meet someone, but when I made the decision to go all in on YouTube, I realized that having a relationship just isn't the right fit for me at the moment. I've been in enough relationships to know how the brain works when you're in one. When you meet someone new, you get kind of obsessive. Or is that just me? Your mind constantly drifts to them, replaying conversations and interactions. It's almost like they take up permanent residence in your mind. It's exciting, but it's also exhausting. It's not just the mental space they take up. Being in a relationship also requires a significant amount of time. When you have a partner, you naturally spend a lot of time with them. That's just how relationships work, especially in the beginning when everything feels new and exciting and you're getting to know one another. It's fun, it's fulfilling, but it's also incredibly time consuming. And the reality is all that time and energy has to come from somewhere. It doesn't just appear out of thin air. So the more time you invest in a relationship, the less time you have to pour into your own goals. Either way, the point is they take up a lot of mental space and energy that could be used for something else. And once I realized that, it became clear that dating just isn't a priority for me anymore. At least not right now. And then let me not forget there's the risk that it could all be for nothing. What if I spent all this time with someone only for them to turn out to be a jerk in the end? That would suck. I'd be left having wasted so much of my valuable time I could have spent working on something else. So I see it like this. When it comes to YouTube versus finding a partner, the difference is control. If the other person doesn't do their share, it won't work no matter how hard I try. But with YouTube, I'd be betting on myself. It would be entirely up to me. If I failed, it wouldn't be because someone else didn't hold up their end of the deal. It would be because I didn't put in the time, effort, or work. So instead of splitting my focus, instead of using half my energy on someone else, I decided to place all my energy on myself. Because at the end of the day, I'm the only person I can fully control. These are just my personal thoughts and what is working for me. I understand that not everyone will feel the same way, and that's completely okay. Number 2, I quit trying to have everything spotless. I was never a clean freak, and I'm still not. However, I did live with one for a year, and it kind of made me realize how dirty I was. Not like dirty, I did my dishes for the most part, but I lived in piles of stuff and didn't vacuum, mop, or dust regularly. And you know what? It never really bothered me until I lived with this friend. Her constant cleaning made me realize that I actually didn't clean that much, and her cleanliness rubbed off on me a little. I started noticing the piles of stuff around me. I became aware of the messes I used to ignore. I even started counting the days to see when it was time to vacuum and mop again. Something I never did before. I started noticing the dust, and it became harder to just leave things as they were. And so I became this person who spent a lot of the day always cleaning and organizing. At first, it felt like a positive change, but then I started to notice that as soon as I woke up in the morning, I dived straight into cleaning, organizing, doing laundry, tidying up the kitchen. I would jump into these tasks before even taking the time to figure out how I wanted to spend my time or decide on what to focus on. When I really thought about it, I realized I was spending my fresh energy on tasks that in the grand scheme of things weren't all that important. My time could be better spent on more meaningful things, reading, exercising, working on this channel, things that would actually improve my life in ways I cared about. But instead, I was cleaning. So I made a change. I quit making cleaning the first thing I do or even having it at the top of my to-do list. It's actually at the bottom now. If things start getting messy, I just do my best to ignore it or do my work in the least messy area. Sometimes I'll even go somewhere else to work so I don't accidentally get distracted by the mess around me. Once I've completed my work for the day, later in the evening when I'm starting to lose energy, I'll wash the dishes and do a little bit of cleaning. But if I'm completely out of energy, it just has to wait. There are times when I fall behind on a video deadline and end up completely disregarding any cleaning. Those days get a little crazy. That's why it's important for me to not procrastinate and stay on top of my schedule. The point is, I stopped caring so much about how clean everything was. I realized I didn't want to spend my time and energy cleaning every single day. I wanted to spend it on the channel, on things that truly contribute to my goals. Number 3, I was a big people pleaser for most of my life, always putting others' needs ahead of my own and trying to keep everyone happy. I was afraid of disappointing people and I felt guilty if I didn't say yes to every request, but I decided to quit. It was time to focus on how I wanted to spend my days rather than being guilted into doing things for others. It wasn't easy. For a long time, I had lived to please others, and changing that mindset felt like a betrayal to some. I could sense that those around me thought I was being selfish or distant. However, I think I did take it a bit to the extreme at first. I went from saying yes to everything to wanting to keep all my time for myself. There was a period where I didn't want to share not one single minute with anyone but myself, and I closed myself off more than I probably should have. But then after reflecting and reading a few Bible verses, I realized that Jesus calls us to be of service to others. I was reminded that being of service doesn't mean constantly overextending myself or sacrificing my own well-being. It means showing love and care when it is truly needed. As it says in John 13, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." Jesus, even though he was Lord, humbly washed his disciples' feet. He showed them that true greatness comes from serving others, from putting their needs before your own in humility and love. So I started thinking more about this. I realized that I needed to strike a balance. I had to carefully evaluate every situation and ask myself, does this person truly need me right now? Because the Bible tells us to serve others, and I want to do my best to honor that. Or is it something that can wait until I'm better able to help? It's not about saying yes to everything, but rather being intentional with how I offer my time. For example, a family member was in a car accident when they were hit by a drunk driver. It was a traumatic experience and they needed someone to help them with the aftermath. They asked me if I could take them to pick up some items from their car, which had been impounded. I knew right away that this person was going through something difficult and they needed support. I felt it was important to be of service, so I dropped everything and went. I even made myself available to them in the following days because I knew they would likely need someone around. On the other hand, I have another family member who would call me every day asking for assistance with just about everything. I felt like they didn't think much about my time or priorities. At first, I tried to be helpful, but eventually I realized that these were tasks that could easily wait. They didn't require immediate attention and they could have grouped their requests into one call instead of reaching out every single day. More than that, the constant interruptions began to feel inconsiderate of my own needs and boundaries. I had to put a stop to it. Even though I want to serve others, I realized that I needed to protect my time as well, and I couldn't let people walk all over me. I stopped being a people pleaser because ultimately people will take advantage of you if you let them. Number 4, I quit caring about what others think. Let me remind you, I'm someone who doesn't post on social media. I don't post on Instagram, TikTok, or anything like that. Just this platform, and even that's only been recent. So imagine, when I look at my thumbnails and videos, I cringe so much. Like, I want to hide them. But I keep telling myself, if this is going to work, I have to cringe, accept it, and just let go. There have been countless times on this journey where I've had to remind myself to push through and just think, who cares? In the beginning, for example, when I posted my very first video, I published it and within 30 minutes, I was filled with doubt. I made it private, then switched it back to public, then private again. I went back and forth until I finally told myself, who cares? And I just published it. I did the same thing with my second video, second guessing myself over and over before finally saying, whatever, I'm doing it. And then when I honestly thought I wouldn't get any subscribers ever, that was another moment I had to force myself to think, who cares? Stop worrying so much about what everyone is going to think and just do what you want to do. And there were many times after finishing a video when I think, this video is dumb, I'm not going to post it. But again, I would tell myself, stop worrying so much about the thoughts of others, and then I just post it. It's not easy to stop caring about what others think, but I believe it's something important to overcome. If you don't, you can end up pretending to be who you think the world wants you to be. But the more you remind yourself and tell yourself, I don't care what others think, the more you start to believe it. Number 5, I quit my job. I saved this for last because I made an entire video about it, so you may have already heard me mention it. After working on YouTube for a year, mainly just learning the basics of filming, editing, and everything else, and working a full-time job, I made a quick realization. I realized that I didn't have the right habits or the stamina to focus on my channel after working my 9 to 5. Most of the time, I was drained by the end of the workday, and those few hours I had left, I wanted to spend relaxing or with my daughter. I did manage to get some things done here and there, especially on the weekends, but it became clear to me that I wouldn't be able to stay consistent and post weekly on YouTube if I kept working a full-time job. So I decided, you know what? I really want to give this YouTube thing a real shot. And I knew that to make this work, I had to give it more time and attention, which for me meant quitting my job. Luckily, I had some savings, so I went ahead and made the leap. I know many people balance their channel while still working full-time, but after that first year of learning YouTube, I realized that that approach was just not working for me. However, I've learned and I'm starting to get faster at creating videos. I'm still struggling with procrastination and a few other challenges, but I'm definitely making progress. When I do eventually go back to my 9 to 5, I'll be much more prepared to manage my time and work on the channel simultaneously with my job. Okay, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye.